Ball rolling.
Motion by Jason, supported by Bill, to accept the agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, conflicts of interest. Anybody conflicts of interest tonight? Hearing none, seeing nobody shaking their head yes, we'll move on to our first public comment. Kylie, would you read the rules for that, please?
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. For remote access users, for Zoom, if you wish to participate in public comment, please raise your hand through Zoom. For any call-ins, we will unmute callers. If you wish to speak, say yes.
Okay, hold on just a second, Joe. Just for anybody that is out there on Zoom, this meeting is our annual managers performance appraisal. This meeting is before our regularly scheduled monthly meeting, which will start at 7. So you're certainly welcome to do public comment here, but we do have another meeting that will start at 7 o'clock. So go ahead, Joe.
We do not have any callers on, and currently no hands are raised.
Okay. All right, well, then I guess we'll move right on forward to item number 6. Our action item, manager's performance appraisal, and we'll all be participating in this. And I'm gonna let Jennifer start. And
Did you bring the blanket and the paddles?
Yeah. I don't think this will be a long discussion. I'm going to sit so I can take my mask off, by the way. Yeah. Take one pass along. Take one pass along. So we followed just the same format as last year. I just included a little key at the top just in case you wanted to remember.
Little is the word.
I brought my new extra color super x-ray glasses.
Well, it's 0 to 6, 0 being awful, 6 being wonderful, so and anything in between. So in the skills rating, management of the organization, overall, we had very good, excellence, and outstandings. And you can see the comments open. The meeting's open to everyone. Evidence of major attitude changes. Appears Brad does a great job with the staff. So I'll just kind of keep going unless somebody wants to open a comment. Okay. Execution of policy. We did have a excellent, very good, and then this one did have a fair in it. But the fair, the person, there's not necessarily a negative comment that is a follow-up to that. So, so somebody is maybe thinking there's some improvement around execution of policy, but I didn't know if anybody wanted to work here that were listed were actually positive comments. So
It was me to fit on accident.
okay.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So under like the first area, the skills
Yeah.
rating, and then underneath this says 5 responses. So 5 commissions responded to that inquiry.
Correct.
And then down here's the comments are separate responses. So then execution of policy, 5 responses.
Yes.
And then, okay, got it. Okay, just want to make sure.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and 2 comments. Okay, so, great. I just didn't know if there was something that Brad needed to be improving upon or something that people want to, because he's not perfect, so. I just-
What?
Wow.
I was gonna call.
So it's
him-
okay.
I was gonna
So
call
we're
him.
putting
Somebody-
somebody out for HR. What are you saying?
So it's okay to say something. Board relations, we have, you know, outstanding, excellent, very good. Yeah, that's, the blue is an outstanding, and then, so outstanding, excellent, good, and very good. So all the top 3 through 6 were noted, and then again, very positive comments, always in contact, personally, I've never had an issue, been there.
So again, I got a question. So under board relations, one commissioner said 4.
No, outstanding. Sorry,
That's
The red
okay.
one's excellent, Mark, not unsatisfactory.
Right, that, well, I can see the variation in those, but I
Oh.
couldn't see
Oh,
those.
the
and I
two
wanted to
different
see-
blues.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
know. So, okay,
He's 1/6 colorblind.
yeah, well, I'm looking at those going.
I didn't.
You're right, I can see
I
that.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Or we were gonna get called out. But anyways, all right, just, Brad, keep that one too.
All right, community relations, again, excellent, very good and good. And, you can read the comments, but talking in the media, surprisingly knowledgeable, seems to have done a good job engaging. There's some comments, around potentially some social media. And more information around closures. And the road commission needs to improve communication with our partners like the townships when we're gonna have a major project. So some areas of opportunity there, which I think is fine in the sense of it gives Brad things to know what to do and to work upon, so.
I would like to comment on this one.
Yeah, that's great.
Visiting the different townships, I've had some concerns that they're not getting as much information as they used to. Now, we're in the middle of COVID,
Yes.
so that may be part of it. But I want you to know that the townships out there are saying they want to hear, like West Silver Lake, that apparently a particular fire department didn't know that road was shut down.
Yeah, that was one that, I don't know how they missed it because it went out on the emergency broadcast to all of
So
them.
it's just one of those, you may want to,
Yeah.
as a suggestion, as a parting suggestion, you may want to put
As a
together like a
township.
township.
Have to listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
No,
code.
no, I understand that,
You
and
know,
you know,
a
I
township
was,
email blast and a emergencies group and all that, so that way you can, I hit this group, goes out to all the. And I'd like to, as a commissioner, when you're sending those out, have the commissioners on those too, so that we also know.
Mm,
So if I'm at a township speaking, or my replacement is at a township speaking, they know, I know what they've got received. So I don't get blindsided by, hey, we got an email from the manager that said, what?
yeah.
yeah, no, those should all be, you guys should all be in those groups already. So if not, then I'll double check.
We're getting them on our email for the road commission. I know that you and Kylie are coordinating, and that I'm sure, are you doing the same method of, there's quite an extensive list
Yes.
that we have, which of course has to be maintained as the elections occur and people change, which is probably a nightmare. But you're still doing that procedure. You haven't deviated from that at all, right?
And the biggest thing is, when I first started here, it was my intention to meet at least with 2 townships a month. And then COVID came. My last meeting was at Grant Township. Now, since then, I've been at Whitewater since they've reopened and they're in the public. But we've done Paradise Township because of our cleaning facility that we're asking them for some assistance with. But it's been very difficult to be able to deal with everything else with the COVID and trying to get there. I find it's a lot more productive to do it, obviously in person, to see people and see the answers. But we do try to keep up with them. I speak to the next supervisor, a parent, at least in Long Lake. I've already talked to him. I talk to Marv fairly regularly. I talk to Ron quite regularly. I've been talking to Mr. White up in Acme. I do talk to them individually, but right now, without having open meetings, it's somewhat been restricted.
As one commissioner, I say, Brad, that, that's good to have communication. I would not try to make it a core requirement right now in this environment for you to be going out personally to these. I know that in-person relationships are stronger.
Right.
I know that, but it's not worth it right now, okay? So, but a suggestion might be that since we have the Zoom capability, that it might be worthwhile during the regular business day to do a 20-minute, half hour, every couple months right now, and just invite them to come and do a roundtable conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I've attended a couple of the MIDA meetings
Yeah.
too, to talk to them.
But that's their meeting.
Right, but they invite me and I go and I talk to them about what the road commission agenda is and what's happening.
Right.
And that seemed to work fairly well also for us.
Well,
It's just,
This would be a way for you to reach
Yeah.
out to that very specific group on a somewhat coordinated method and bring them right up to speed really, really fast.
yeah,
And it's not a place for everybody to vent their issues, I guess, on, in their particular township. It's just, hey, meet me, this is what's going on, what we're doing, why we do it.
And you,
that's
and you
it.
can't do it on a Friday because some townships like their 3-day weekends.
yes.
Yes,
And
we do.
Mondays.
Yeah, your
Don't
Tuesdays
Fridays,
are the best.
Yep, Fridays and Mondays.
Well, and one of the things, we originally had scheduled for this year, which also was drawn to a halt because of COVID, was we met with 3 townships to talk to them about their roads and start getting them more up to speed. And we sent them all packets that showed every one of their primary roads and even some of their local roads to show them, these are where your problems are, these are where your good roads are. And we did send all this out to them, but then we were never able to meet with them to sit down and talk to them. And that's gonna be one thing with the new asset management software that we have and getting them up to speed with the use of it so that they can log in and just have access to their township and play with numbers on their own. And then they can decide, hey, what happens if we do this? What happens if we do this?
And to piggyback on it, it's, I don't know about those guys, but I haven't been to a township meeting in months, ever since COVID started, and they weren't open, and then it was just not, I went to one county meeting, Zoom meeting.
That's done. And I did go to Mayfield also.
Yeah.
But.
It'd be good, it would be good for the commissioners also to maybe be part of that. So,
Okay, let's continue on, Jennifer.
I wanna finish up on my,
Yeah.
when you said you sent out an email for that West Silver Lake got missed, was that the normal email blast that goes out on attention closures?
No, there's the emergency list also.
Cause
That's supposed to have all the fire department contacts, all the sheriff department contacts, and occasionally it includes the city police chief too,
Right.
because if we're in that area, but those were supposed to be sent out. I know the person at the Blair Township Fire Department did not get it because they never sent an update of who the new person was that was supposed to be on the contact.
There you
So
go.
now he gets them, okay, so, and that's one of the things too, is, it's something that we need to get back to talking to the townships to say,
Right.
hey, change the staff, we need to know, so we can make sure that these communications are hitting the right people. So,
awesome. I'm good on that. Thank you.
The next one was leadership. So this one again, similar with the, good, very good, and excellent. And, the boards usually offer options. There were some opportunities, presented in the second comment with, to maybe see more, options in regards to, projects and more feedback from the staff, when considering choices, so,
And as I'm reading what I wrote there, it's kind of muddled. I have no problem saying what I wrote
I wrote
because
that. What are you talking about? I wrote that.
the top one you might have,
No, I
there's
wrote
no way you wrote that
the
many
big one.
words. But my concern has been, since I've been on the board, is the engineering staff brings us, this is our list of projects. Here's what we want to do. And we go, okay, but there may be other, maybe we could do an ultra thin or we could do a chip seal. And we're not given the option to choose on those and what the difference is between them. Now, with the new computer stuff that we've got coming in, it might change a little bit, but I as a board member would like to feel like at least I got a little bit of say in how the money's being spent and all of that to get the best bang for the buck.
Well, and that's what the asset management program is supposed to be doing for us, so that realistically, we're not making the decisions either. We're relying on the data.
But that's
Drive
now,
it.
this is changing now from what it was.
So, and hopefully that will be the case for the next few years, so.
Thank you.
So in regards to employee relations, and outstanding, excellent, and very good, always willing to talk to employees, recent survey, pretty much spoke, and seen improvements. And this person also indicated they had heard from the staff of getting a chance to spread their wings. So I think that it's notable that folks are reaching out to you guys. Any questions before we go into the goal evaluation, or more feedback for Brad on those? Okay, so the goals are just completely opposite, Mark, just to confuse you. Now they go the comments, then the rating on the goals, so. Sorry.
Just make sure you're awake, Mark.
Yeah. So goal number 1 was to create a comprehensive master asset management plan that includes roads, equipment, facility, technology, and other items. We have a meets and below expectations and comments, you know, all things considered, doing well. Been receiving updates, been waiting, but it appears to be on task. But Brett, I don't know if you want to just speak to this goal and where
Well,
you're at.
One of the major issues with this was simply the fact that, you know, we had expected to be able to have a lot of these in-person meetings to talk to a lot of other people. And that really did slow us down. And then getting somebody who can evaluate and do the software stuff. We originally were looking at potentially hiring a consultant to do all this. And we just struck gold with 2 hires out of 1 posting that ended up being exactly what we needed for both positions. And so that's the biggest problem we had. And just the simple fact that with COVID itself, that was taking up to 20 hours a week of our time, between, you know, me taking half of my time almost continuously, getting all the updates and dealing with Heather's issues and dealing with Bill and everything else, trying to get all this COVID stuff did slow us down. And unfortunately, I don't think anyone could have predicted anything like that. But on the lighter side, on the good side, all our stuff is now in, and we got the electricity run. So before you know it, we're gonna have our servers up and running, and we're gonna have a lot more powerful system here, which is gonna make a lot more accessible information for the commissioners as well as for the general public.
Any other comments on asset management plan? Okay, this next one is maintain an appropriate fund balance to ensure financial stability of the road commission exceeds and meets expectation. I mean, I think the comments are pretty clear cut there. Any comments around that goal?
I'd like to comment to the board, that I don't think going forward that this is a, goal that I would expect there's a better goal we can come up with. What that is, I don't know, but this is not something that I think that the manager should be measured on, because it's the board's responsibility. This is our responsibility, isn't it?
That's
though?
legit.
Don't you think? Yeah,
Okay.
so I think if we're gonna slot something,
Yeah.
Did you pick the one that was all red and blue to say that, or is it?
no.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, look, we're doing well, it must be our
Yeah.
now.
Well, this one's ours.
Thank you. We appreciate that. No, actually, that is our responsibility.
And,
So-
you know, so I think Brad, speaking for Brad, I guess I'm your spokesperson, I think, I know that he has expressed that he likes to have goals and know what to be working for, so if you have something to switch
We're gonna
out.
put a humdinger.
Well,
Don't worry.
and look, the reality is, even if it's on us, I mean, we have to have the tools in place to make that happen. And I think we were probably reflecting on that in our evaluation with that particular
Well,
section, so.
And between Phil and I, we both are continuously talking about it. I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
main things. So we gotta make sure, you know, things are coming in where they need to be. So,
Absolutely.
and Brad does oversee it all on a day-to-day, and it might not be inappropriate to keep that there. But I understand where you're coming from. It is ultimately on us, but
I think it's better to have a goal there that he can directly affect himself as the manager and the leader of our organization.
I just don't know how to rephrase. I don't disagree with you. I just know how to rephrase that,
Or what to replace
or
them.
how to
Oh,
put that.
don't worry about it, we'll take care of it.
I'm glad you will. We've got 40 minutes.
Okay, the next one is support the village renewal. This one, I think, was the one that probably has the most struggles. And, looking at the comments, it's timing and getting up and off the ground and getting information to you guys that are needed. So I don't, again, meets expectations and below expectations, so.
And that one, I understand, you know, this one was one we struggled getting to get information from Traverse City, being able to meet with them, and it was tough for us to try and find a way to put together everything that the millage stands for without them, because they do have a significant impact. And we should have been able to get it quicker, and I take blame for that because I didn't push on Traverse City to get the information like I should have. But it's one of those things, I think we did get very aggressive and we've had a lot of response. I'm getting anywhere from 3 to 5, 10 emails every day, asking questions about the millage and asking questions about what we have online. So I think people are seeing it. People are supporting it. They seem to be pretty satisfied with the condition of the roads and what we do. There are some questions that will come up that we will talk about, you know, as far as how we're moving forward in the asset management program, because I think a lot of the people still have not seen that meeting. And we're trying to get them to realize that, you know, this is a very data-driven, and we try to focus on where the most impact is first.
Well, Brad, I got a couple of questions for you. So based on this experience now to this point with what happened when the gentleman came in from the print company at the meeting, and also the lengthy process the city took to get you the data, what would you do different next time around?
Well, for one, I'd be sitting in the front office there, sitting next to Marty Coburn saying, where's the information? And just get this information together. But I think part of the problem too is I went based on previous millage renewal, based on it being a heavy print type informational campaign. And so, you know, I think realistically, I think we're getting a darn good turnover of hits on our website. And I think, you know, that the social media is a lot more valuable to us. We are still going to have one insert coming in the paper that will hit right before the election, because we still have a lot of people that are voting in person. I mean, yes, there's a good number that voted early, but there's a lot of people voting in person. Yeah. So I think, you know, we are hitting it right at the end. I think we probably should have, in the future, I think we will have information ready substantially earlier. We will have a much better website set up so that it's actually out there and it's going to be updated annually. So it's not something that's going to be waiting until that fourth year with Larry here and being able to get these storyboards built. And for those of you who haven't gone through some of our videos and stuff, it's pretty nice. I mean, people are commenting to us when they call us. You know, it's a good looking presentation and it really conveys the message that needs to be put out there. So.
Thank you, answers. Good, thanks.
I look at this should be the millage renewal information should be an educational campaign going on from today until the next millage, if this one is passed, showing people what we've done, how we've done it, why we've done it, how that millage has benefited them. It shouldn't be a wait until the 4-year mark and go. And I think with the technology stuff that you have in place, are gonna be in place where we can update our own website, we can do a lot of stuff, that's gonna help.
You actually just said that.
And I think we were about a month late getting this, well, he may have, but I feel as a commissioner, I want to reiterate that we were late getting that out. Like, at least a month and a half. The ballots were already out and returned. That I was greatly disappointed in. You had in your manager's report that stuff was gonna be to us beginning to middle of August. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
And you didn't communicate to us that there was gonna be a delay. We need to focus on the county's aspect of the millage, not the city's aspect. If we couldn't get the information from the city, we should have had what we had and put that out. That was my biggest disappointment, was we were behind, and it was stuff that we had no control over that was there, and we should have just ran with what we had.
Well, I'll disagree with you on one point. We do need to worry about what the city's doing, because that's a lot of votes for that millage, and without those
That's what
people,
carried it the first year.
that's exactly right. So the city is extremely important. It's extremely important.
They need the $800 to $1 million.
But how the city spends their money, we have no control over.
We don't, but the city is important to us to get the millage passed. How they spend that money is their choice. We have no choice in that. We can't tell them how to do that. The same way we can't tell a village how they're gonna spend that
Right.
millage money, or the DDAs that get the money. It's all appropriated to them, and we have no say in that. But we do have a say in talking to those people and getting their word out, because that money's important to them too.
I think Brad used.
I don't disagree with anything you said.
In the sense that you said you'd start early, that you'd be working continually over the next 4 years or whatever time period, collecting this together with the team, so you're more prepared, and also have our stuff ready to go, and then you're gonna sit on Marty's lap until he gets it done. That's fine. I mean, that sometimes has to happen, so.
Well, and that's one of the things, that's, as we go, our website will be a continuously updated website. It's not going to be a stationary point in time. As people come in to look, every time something gets redone, it's gonna show as it being redone with the new system.
And just an FYI, I know that Marty probably had his hand in it pretty good, but I bet Ben did most of it, the clerk, so go a little deeper into the management team.
Okay, let's move
Okay,
along here. We're gonna run out of
so-
time.
Yeah, the next is, begin preparation for the 2021 union contract negotiations. So again, it meets and exceeds with, I think the comments are pretty, positive and easy to understand, so. The next one is manage the strategic planning process. This is all meets. With the comments around this, keep heading towards a plan. Just a note, this ought to be board driven with the emphasis, has not been strong yet. So just, when you're thinking about, back to Mark's comment about what does the manager control or what doesn't the manager control? Maybe as far as the strategic management process itself. But Brad's managing the plan well, so any comments around that?
Yeah, our board has struggled with this issue for a while. We've had a couple of train wreck situations, and so we haven't moved forward with it. Like trying to get a couple outside consultants, which this board went, no, absolutely not. So, I don't know the answer. But we do have to do it. And I don't know if it's always appropriate to be I guess facilitator maybe would help as an independent third party that could continue the conversation and keep us on task. That way it's not on you and it's not on the board to keep it going.
Right.
And I
Because you want your upper level staff to be in the discussion also to
Yeah.
make sure that they're throwing out ideas of things that they think need to be happening to make everything we have, these entire global wide goals break down into subtasks across the organization. And so, you need to get into a more detailed thing. Again, this is one of those things, it's like you know, I'm basically going off of what I hear from the board, and I'm kind of pushing us there, but we need to have a consensus agreement, and we need to sit down with somebody who can walk us through the whole thing, and it is time consuming. It's not, you know, a 2-hour meeting. You're talking about a 6-hour, 7-hour day to set these things up and then coming back to discuss them after. So it's an involved process, and I think, you know, as I work with the board more, I get more and more of a feel of where we are and what types of things people are individually concerned with and individually wanting to see changed and moved. And I think we try to do that. You know, we picked up this year for one of the things that was stressed early on was these small projects. Well, we picked up 6 of them this year that we said, okay, we've got these small troublesome areas, let's fix them. So, you know,
That's good.
As far as the plan goes, I'm not a big fan of external mediators, facilitators and whatnot. That's never been a style that I pretty much care for. One of the things that, you know, as far as the manager is concerned, he's not only managing the organization and the staff that respond to him directly, but he's also managing our expectations. And as a part of that, as you kind of alluded to here, you get a sense of what our priorities are, and that kind of creates the plan. It may not be a plan, but you know where we're going. Yes, there'll be a point in which we should probably sit down and say, okay, no, in the next 10 years, what do we expect? In the next 20 years, what do you expect? And the thing is, with this entire organization, 20 years is not a long term to look out at, especially given, you know, what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, 20 years right now is kind of the start of things. So I think that at some point it might not be a bad idea to set up a retreat of sorts. But I'm not a big fan of external people managing.
Yeah, I don't want anybody directing the content, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody to just keep the conversation moving.
And
And free
focus.
the staff up. That's it.
Okay, so, yeah, okay. Good discussion. Staffing, reduce employee turnover and conduct employee surveys, so meets and exceeds, with a note that there has been turnover, but some of that, you know, was looking at the long-term stability of the organization too, so. Any questions or comments around turnover? Board relations, provide the board with necessary information, meets and exceeds. Just the positives, but then the opportunity is I wish we received more information on things that pop up that are outside the daily business of the road commission, damage to our assets, change management. So, I think that's along the same lines, Andy, that maybe we were talking about earlier as far as, is there any additional comments around that? Okay, perfect. And then finally, the last page is an overall rating. So this is just looking at the manager's performance over the past year. You know, good, very good, excellent. And comments, it has been an unusual year. Somebody is, that's an understatement. With the current year's health issues, I think Brad has done best to handle. The staffing is well qualified. He's easily approachable, done a good job. So I guess just overall comments to Brad about his overall performance over the last year.
Well, no, I think all things considered, you know, we've had the COVID crisis. You had to deal with that. Obviously, we're dealing with the millage issue, and maybe we got a little comfortable and let that slip a little forward. But I think you've done a pretty decent job of keeping the ship afloat, so to speak. You've prepared well for the possibility of the lowered revenues, which really kind of never showed up like we expected.
We were under by about 450,000.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't
not
as
nowhere
bad.
near as what they said it was.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, we got to give you some credit for that. And, I feel comfortable having you run the organization personally. And, that's me anyway.
Well, I'll go next, I guess, for no better reason than I'll go next. I think there could have been a lot of things that happened differently if COVID hadn't come, because of how much extra energy was, I mean, there's nothing normal that's happened this year. You know, when you put 20 hours a week into that, and I know, because we're constantly getting the updates and the mandates, and you know, everything's changing, and it looks like we're changing again here. It looks like it's gonna happen again. I don't know that, I hope not, but it's just one of those things that when you take that much time away from somebody and you're really focused on that, it's hard to jump back and forth all the time and focus on. I mean, it's just a lot of distraction. So I think all in all, I think you did very well. I think you did great. Andy?
I think Carlin said everything I need to say. You've done a good job overall, and you've had some definite challenges you've had to deal with that I don't think anyone could have foresaw or planned for, and I think we're looking pretty good under your leadership. Minor adjustments I would like to see, but I'm 1-5.
No, I am looking for any type of comments that, you know, things that you want to see differently. I'm always willing. That's how you improve. You don't improve without feedback.
And just because I say this is what I'd like to see or what I didn't see doesn't mean that that's the way it needs to go. That's just one of 5's opinions.
Mr. Windex.
You make me regret that, is everything. I'll try not to be too pithy, other than to say that my biggest disappointment was 7 years ago when we bought those stupid little blue signs after we got our millage. They needed to be much bigger and much brighter, but that's another issue. No, I mean, you know, I don't want to get into these, you know, kumbaya moments and stuff. I'm not real big into that. The fact that we're coming the next year, as we come to realize each other's personalities a little bit, as working back and forth, I'm sure we'll have a very harmonious organization.
You're done? That's
I'm
it?
done. Mark, unless you want to spread.
Now here comes the.
Well, I had to look at it overall, Brad, basically strengths and weaknesses. And then the impact of what was happening in our country, our community. So weighing all that, I'd say you get some extremely strong areas. And I think you got some extremely weak areas. I think between the two, you've been able to balance them out. But one area that's the biggest concern for me is a communications issue. And I don't think it's lack of knowledge. As a matter of fact, I know it's not lack of knowledge, and I know it's not lack of caring. But I think that the situation in Peninsula Township with Bluff Road and the way, I guess, that was handled is not to my expectations. And it manifested itself into further deterioration of the asset. The board kind of thinking that something was happening, but maybe not. Maybe the board didn't give you enough direction on it. But then it caused some homeowners to get excited. And I don't think they're being unreasonable. And then it got the township involved, and that's an excitable group, no matter who's in the chair up there. And then the timing of it accumulated towards the timing of the millage. And it may have put some jeopardy here in play. And I think it's the big picture you gotta look at. So that's the one area that is the most concerning to me, was from the leadership position to be able to step back and go, this issue happening here could have ramifications down the road 6 months. And I don't know that you saw it coming, but you have not had the experience the Peninsula Township either. But now you do. And I think this is a great year with all the crazy stuff going on to have experienced it, and we'll get through it. But I think that's where my biggest concern. But in terms of the day-to-day operation and the morale of the staff, front, back, and the projects and the way you're handling things is super strong. So I'll have to keep it for another year or two. But we'll know in a year.
I'll stay as long as you want. How's that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You might change your mind.
Don't know who Andrew's replacing.
But overall, I just thought it was a great year for you, for everything going on. And you're still new to the organization, so that was a big thing to take on.
Brad, any feedback for the board?
Well, you know, one of the things, as we move forward into this new network with all of this information, I think part of it to make it really work is going to also be dependent upon your individual willingness to start learning some of this stuff. And we will take you through it to the nth degree if you need it, or if you just want to play with it and then ask questions, however you want to deal with it. But this is unbelievable how much information is going to be available. And it's going to be available to not just you. There's going to be information that'll be available to the public. There will be information that is available to the townships. And to have that understanding of how much information we really are going to be accumulating is something that I think the board as a whole needs to make sure that they stay up with the learning of what's going on with it. And like I said, we've got Larry, he can teach you how to do anything on a computer pretty quick. He's good with it. He's dealt with a lot of people that haven't been familiar with GIS type systems. But you know, that's going to be one thing that's going to be very crucial for us to keep the conversation going between the board and myself, so that, you know, when we're looking at things, we can look at it and say, okay, these are the areas we're going to look at for the next meeting, and you can pull it up and you can see all the stuff that we put in the GIS system.
Are you recommending training sessions outside of regular meetings?
I think
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm thinking, no, I'm saying either training sessions or take it and play with it and ask questions. But I think, you know, there is this
trained and then go.
Yeah.
this software has an incredible amount of power, is what I'm, I guess, saying is it can do so much for you, and you can get instantaneous information from this software that you've never had the ability to get.
And Larry is prepared and prescient enough to know that he doesn't give us anything but a read-only access, right?
No, you have your own area. No, you have your own area where you can put in comments, which are then
Comments are one thing, you know.
Yeah, you can't change the data. There's only two people that can
See how
change
this
the
would
data.
affect this and this, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
That's the thing I'm working on right now. I follow around, and all of a sudden, a code pop-up screen shows up. And I freeze, I literally freeze, because I hit one more key, it's changing something, so it's not cool. I don't want that here.
No, it's not, as far as the data is concerned, like the actual physical data, you can't make changes to it.
Can I paraphrase?
Well, maybe, can you?
Are you gonna end up with another bottle
From
of
what you
Windex?
just said, it's.
Transparent.
And I think the more data that we can put out there for the public to get, the less we rein that in, the better it is. They might not be able to understand what they're seeing, but if it's out there, and
Yeah,
it'll
and
save
this-
on people calling going, hey, can you tell me about?
Right,
Because
and
it's there.
this is the whole idea of this software is, yes, if you need training, we have training ability here. We also have, there's classes that you can do online, there's classes that you can attend, and you can do it however you want it, but if you really want to get the most out of what we have the capability of doing in the next 6 months to a year, you're gonna need to at least bare minimum, if you're really familiar with computers, you at least need to play with it.
You know, I'd love you to contact the county commissioners and explain to them that anybody that gets on this board is gonna have to take classes, get educated and work. Before the interviews come up this month. And we'll just see what happens, how many people show up.
Well, I'm just telling you, you know, you can do as much as you want on it, you can do as little as you want, but if you really want to see what's happening in the organization and you have a question about it, that is where that information is going to be readily available for you to look and see, okay, this is what's happening.
Well, that's gonna help in that strategy conversations for sure.
Okay, I don't know that, I think the next step is when we start talking,
Set a schedule for next month or something to talk about that.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think the goal was to have this
Get
part
this
done
and
before
then we
Andy
can-
was gone, so his
Right.
input could be part of it.
Right, so then
yeah.
we can think about that, and then on next month's deal, then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the dollars and cents and whatever else.
Yeah.
I think they're waiting to wait, see what happens on November 3rd, dude. I think that's what's going on here.
No, that's not. So anyway, is everybody,
He'll be out there knocking on car windows as there's stop signs. Can I borrow your Windex?
okay, Kylie, I guess we ought to read the number 7 line again for anybody that has joined us in the interim.
Public comment. Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes, and the board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. Again, for remote access users, if you wish to participate in public comment by Zoom, please raise your hand through the Zoom app. For call-ins, we will unmute callers. If you wish to speak, say yes.
And I will say it again, this is our manager's annual review. Our regular meeting will start in approximately 10 minutes. So if anybody wants to wait till regular meeting for public comment, they certainly can do that. They'll have 2 more chances, or they can now if there's anybody online.
There are no call-ins and nobody has raised their hand.
Okay,
Oh, we have one.
okay.
Black, you need to unmute your computer and then you're free to speak.
Okay. Okay, I think I accomplished the unmute.
Yes, you have. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I was actually waiting for one of my associates, Greg Sova, to speak first with regard to issues on Lakeshore Drive in terms of the new road that hopefully
You guys are on the agenda for the next meeting, sir.
Excuse me?
You guys are on the agenda for the next meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this the incorrect time then? Okay.
Yeah, you're a little early. You are on the agenda.
Okay, then Greg will speak first at that time. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
No, that's not a problem. I just wanted to let you know you are on the agenda. on the next-
Okay, thanks again. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, Joe?
No.
Okay, now, Jason.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
I didn't know if it jumped into that section.
Okay.
I did that.
Who seconded?
Are we dead?
Yeah, it's adjourned. So